Standard real estate training assumes that buyers, sellers, and investors operate as purely rational economic actors, maximizing utility on a spreadsheet. This assumption fails to explain the common paradoxes of the market, why clients reject mathematically sound deals, cling to unrealistic pricing, or chase weak fundamentals. Every transaction consists of two simultaneous structures. The visible deal above ground is the territory of cap rates and financing mechanics. The invisible deal below is the bedrock, composed of human urgency, memory, and identity. Solving friction in the visible deal while ignoring the invisible bedrock guarantees failure. You cannot resolve a crisis of trust with a spreadsheet. Mapping this invisible structure is the ultimate operator advantage. It allows a professional to read human tension and respond to it with precision. Property choices follow a specific chronological order. Emotion casts the first vote. A nervous system quickly decides if a property feels like arrival or compromise. Logic is subsequently hired to defend that initial vote, gathering evidence to make the feeling appear rational. Incoming data is filtered to protect this initial psychological stance. A buyer who feels safe will minimize inspection flaws, while a fearful buyer will magnify them into deal breakers. Deploying raw data to combat an emotional block is operationally useless. It ignores the real decision-maker and often increases client resistance. A buyer is purchasing a future self. The property is a vehicle for a version of identity that feels more stable, more respected, or more worthy. When a buyer requests practicality, they are often shielding a deep fear of regret. They want to avoid the embarrassment of a visible financial mistake. Requests for status or luxury function similarly. They satisfy an internal need for external validation, confirming that a threshold of success has been crossed. If a property stops aligning with this aspirational identity, the deal can die over a minor repair. The physical house no longer matches the desired future. Market scarcity intensifies this. It triggers identity panic, driving buyers to bid recklessly to secure the future self they believe is disappearing. Success depends on mapping the asset to the buyer's desired future self. Without that alignment, the transaction will stall on trivial details. Sellers view the open market as an appraisal of their personal dignity. They are releasing a piece of their biography to be judged by strangers. Resistance to market data is often a dignity defense. This scale represents the seller's internal conflict. They use the listing price to measure the symbolic worth of their past sacrifices and memories. Lowering the price feels like erasing their history in the home. They hear a market adjustment as a personal insult. Confronting a seller with aggressive averages triggers a retreat. They become defensive when their identity feels underpriced. Securing a price reduction requires the operator to preserve the seller's dignity first. You must isolate their self-worth from the market's feedback to allow for a strategic decision. The commercial investor believes they buy numbers. In practice, they buy emotional comfort and the feeling of intelligent control. This matrix exposes the emotional engines of the institutional buyer. Fear of embarrassment kills mathematically sound acquisitions. They also require social proof, seeking the safety of the herd. Finally, regret avoidance drives them to retreat from viable opportunities. Regardless of the asset class, these hidden tensions manifest as deal paralysis. Paralysis is the collision between a desire and a perceived risk. It is powered by 4 specific engines. Engine 1 is the fear of loss, the drive to protect current leverage and capital at any cost. Engine 2 is the fear of regret, the effort to avoid future self-judgment for a present choice. Engine 3 is the fear of complexity, the feeling of being overwhelmed by the moving parts of a transaction. Engine 4 is the fear of irreversibility, the panic that sets in before a permanent commitment. When a client says they need to wait, they are asking for a reduction in ambiguity. Elite operators treat client language as a directional signal. They listen for the psychological requirement hidden inside literal statements. This matrix decodes protected needs. Asking for a clean deal means requiring low operational bandwidth. Saying, "I'm not giving it away," expresses a need to have past labor respected. Searching for something safe often means seeking an environment with zero conflict. The ethical professional uses this insight to organize these triggers and provide clarity. They do not manipulate them to force a signature. Translating words into needs prevents an operator from solving the wrong problem and wasting their influence. Trust is the invisible transactional currency of real estate. It provides the emotional permission slip required to move from caution to commitment. First is trust in the professional, believing in your competence and alignment. Second is trust in the process, believing disclosures and timelines can be safely navigated. Third is trust in self, the belief they can live with the decision's consequences. But performing false certainty shatters this triad. Real trust is solidified by admitting complexity and accurately translating risk. The ultimate operator advantage is the rigorous discipline of seeing the human being beneath the transaction.